my name is Joe Painter here on the People Chronicles. This is another edition of What's the Story? And I've been looking forward to this one and actually talking about it, saying, no, I'm going to do a What's the Story on the Cigar Club. And people have been saying, well, where is that? I said, no, it's not a where, it's not a store, it's a thing. And I actually found out about it at a funeral.
Yes, Chuck Runkle's dad.
Yes, Lou Runkle had passed away, and I was at the services, and so were you, John Brown.
I was, because Chuck is a member of the Cigar and Bourbon Club and a good friend, although he was my wife's friend first.
Well, Chuck knows how to get to where he needs to get.
He does, yeah. So dog walking people, they communicate on a different level.
That is true. So wait, I called it the Cigar Club. You called it Cigar Bourbon Club.
Cigar and Bourbon,
And
correct.
where'd the canon come in? There was a canon for a short period of time.
Well, one of our members, Dave Melcher, and Barbara Melcher used to be a judge in the area, right? So he was a weapons expert. The first time I met him at a Cigar and Bourbon Club meeting, he was telling me about his guns, and I said, Dave, do you have a gun safe? And he looked at me and he said, I have a gun room.
Oh.
And he was a foundryman, foundry engineer. So he actually made the cannons. So he took me out to a friend of his house, and we fired it. And the first time I heard the sound, I said, oh, my goodness.
You actually fired a cannon?
We fired a cannon. I have a cannon, yeah. And the first time I heard a fire, it was like the sound just called to me. I said, Dave, how could I get one of these? And he was, I don't know. I left the mold out in Michigan. He used to work in Michigan. So I bugged him for months until he had the mold shipped in, and then we actually cast 5 cannons.
Is that how you commence each meeting?
No, because we can't fire them everywhere.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
So this Cigar Bourbon Club.
Yes.
I was intrigued when I first heard about it, about how it started and why it started. So can you rewind?
Sure. 2004, Brady Reed and John Brown were talking because we were both come-heres. And he was telling me how he found the Reading unfriendly.
Do you know how many times we hear that? Reading or Berks County, unfriendly. People are trying to figure out how to fit in. So you experienced that.
Right, and I don't know that it's Berks County's unfriendly as much as it's just, we came here later in life. I'm a come here, not a from here.
So you're new to the area.
2003.
Okay.
I've had my warehouse here since 2000, but I didn't make the move up till 2002 when we stayed a year in an apartment and moved. So Brady's children, straddle my Will and Kevin, so we went to St. Joseph's together, St. Joseph Church, and then we would go out to breakfast. We got friendly. He was talking about that, and then one day he said, I never complain about anything. Solve it. Don't complain. He hates complainers. So he was inspired by Earl Nightingale. I don't know if you've ever heard of him. Back in the 30s and 40s, he was actually, he is one of the only records that went platinum. And it's a self-improvement type record.
Okay.
Right. And so Brady said what Earl Nightingale said, don't complain about a problem, solve it. Think about it and solve it. So he said, hey, let's start a Cigar and Bourbon Club. So Brady, myself, and Jim Qualia, who lived in the neighborhood, met on Brady's porch. And actually, the first meeting I missed, because he was trying to set it up and he was providing.
Wait, the first meeting was just you and Brady and you didn't show up?
No, it was supposed to be Jim, Brady, and myself.
Oh, okay.
I was at an appointment. I completely forgot about it. He was trying to generate the excitement for it, which I wasn't feeling at the moment, right? So I actually missed the first one. But Brady's such a good friend, and he's become a better friend over the years, and I felt terrible. So I did make the second one. Right, so, and basically that was on his porch, and then he brought out the bourbon, and I was not a bourbon drinker, but he was saying,
Are you now?
Oh, I am, yes.
Were you a cigar smoker?
Occasionally, because I'm a fisherman.
Okay.
Yeah, and the way that goes together is, have you ever been bitten by black flies?
The smoke will keep them away.
The smoke keeps them away. And I've been bitten.
So this isn't really about cigars or bourbon.
Correct.
It's about moving to a new area and getting to know your neighbors.
Correct. That's exactly right.
And so, I mean, if you
But
wanted
the cigar and
to,
bourbons aren't
it's
bad.
fun,
Yeah.
right? But you could almost substitute anything. And I think I was intrigued by this, John, because so often, and I've moved several times, and we tend to live more inside our houses than outside.
Correct.
And so it becomes sometimes difficult to meet your neighbors and really get to know your neighbors. And I thought this was a rather innovative way to connect and join the neighborhood in Hampden Heights.
Correct. And I can walk down the street in Hampden Heights now, and I know so many of my neighbors.
Do you know how few people can do that?
Oh, I know. It's a blessing.
It
really is. So the nice thing now, just meant, Tom Xavius is in the club. I mentioned Major General John Gronsky, who was only a colonel when he joined the club and is now a Major General. So
wait, let's be specific. Major General of what?
The 28th Division. That's Pennsylvania
National Guard.
Yeah.
So he was one of the original members?
He came on pretty early. Yes. He was. No, the original was Jim, Brady, and I. And then followed soon after by Chuck.
Did you have to invite people, or did people just get curious? How did it grow?
Well, that's exactly how it happened. So anyway, we had the bourbon, and it was nice. And then Chuck was pretty early on, Chuck Runkle. And, so it was one of those things that, Brady might have said, oh, I invited Chuck to this. And then Chuck came, and he had a good time. Oh, this is great. And then Chuck invited Dave Melcher.
Okay.
Right. And then during the time, Joe Corella, he had moved in. That's Mike Shorn's son-in-law. And he had moved in the neighborhood because of, the family and everything else, but hated Reading. People here were unfriendly, right?
Changed his mind now,
Oh,
didn't
very
he?
much so. Oh, my goodness. So, that was great. And then, like I say, over a period of time, we would invite people, Jeff Grabert.
So you have to be invited. You can't. Do you still meet on a porch?
We meet on various porches.
So if you're walking down the street and you see all these people gathered on the porch and somebody said, hey, what's going on? Would they be invited in?
It depends.
Uh-huh. On what?
I guess the way they would approach us.
Okay.
Because the one thing about this is I like to think it's a high level of conversation.
Well, I understand you're the self-appointed president.
What do you mean self-appointed?
That's what Chuck says. He says you are the self-appointed president.
No, Brady handed me the baton when he left, Chuck Chuck will have to be disciplined. Luckily we have a sergeant at arms.
Are there minutes to this meeting? Are there goals?
There's hours.
No, there's hours to
and
the
sometimes
meetings.
You can't get rid of them once they show up. Oh, my goodness.
So there aren't projects. I mean, loosely defined. What's the mission of the club?
For people to get to know each other.
And that's perfect. So
and that's it. So
how would you encourage other people to start a similar club to get to know each other in their neighborhood?
Just do it. That's always the hardest part, that first step. Now, luckily, Brady is not without confidence, if you ever met him. So him, it was, this is a great idea. This is a solution. I'm going to do it. And he pushed it. So we were really fortunate to have him. And I think everybody else in the club that knows Brady will say the same thing, So it's been a wonderful thing, getting to know people. And it's, so much in a present day life, it's like life's like a centrifuge in a lot of ways. It pushes you apart. People move out of town, and I think we're mobile to a degree never before seen in history. I mean, you've heard stories. People live within 5 miles of where they were born
all
their whole
their life, right?
Right. So there's a need, I think, to prevent that alienation you have. And I know there is. Just we've had so many good times. We've gotten to know people, even almost like you do when you're growing up in high school and things. And that's a really wonderful thing to have back again.
It's a treasure. It truly is. And when I first heard about it, I thought, how refreshing is this if we can connect with one another again? And it was a very creative and innovative way. And I detected, just in a brief meeting, that very strong friendships and bonds
very
have
strong.
Been formed.
Yes.
So you too can take a note or a page from the notebook of the Cigar Bourbon Club and just do it. as John Brown says.
Well, actually, as Nike said, I don't want to get in trouble with
Oh,
them.
there you go. But meet your neighbors and get together and get to know them and form those lasting relationships, because I understand the meetings are mobile and you travel now to homes where people have moved away from time to time.
Right, yeah. Still a lot of people are in the neighborhood, though. Although they do move away, but, luckily with emails and things, you can still stay in contact. So, yeah.
So now you know what's the story with the Cigar Club.
Yes.
Where's the bourbon?
I'm
Just
sorry.
asking.
Yes. All right. Well, we'll have to have you come to the next meeting.
Okay.
We'll have we have a mobile cart that travels with us.
I'm sure you do. You let me know, okay?
Okay.
Thank
Will
you
do.
so much.
You're welcome.
At Queen City Family Restaurant on Lancaster Avenue in Reading, we cook delicious meals 24/7. Breakfast is available anytime. We have a 25-plus item salad bar, extraordinarily tasteful daily soups, fresh made-to-order lunch and dinner entrees. Whatever you're in the mood for, our friendly staff is here to serve you in our newly renovated atmosphere.